thanks for tuning into this Trinity Insight educational screencast. My name is Craig Smith, and I'm the founder of Trinity Insight. Thanks for tuning in again today. Today's topic is about the area of user engagement, maybe better articulated as the ability of your website to retain visitors after arrival. To convert, users have to interact. With most businesses, however, resources are not allocated to understanding user behavior on your site, and this knowledge is left unknown. This presentation is going to change that for your company. In a short time, I will be discussing 3 things to look for within your current online business to assess engagement levels, and talk about some rapid steps you can take to be more proactive with this area. Let's begin. So here's what we're going to discuss. First, we're going to take a look at user engagement, what it is, and help you understand the fundamentals. Second, we're going to discuss how you can properly measure user engagement and what tools you should have running to accurately assess this type of data. Lastly, we discuss some ways to improve user engagement and some things you can immediately do to increase the efficiency of your website. So to define user engagement, a good summary would be that user engagement is the ability to retain and direct a web visitor. When a user comes to your site, they decide within 2 seconds if the content you're presenting is compelling enough to continue clicking. The subsequent pages that you present and the information sent that you provide ultimately determines if someone completes the tasks that you set forth. This information sent is laid out to a user through a variety of cues, messages, and guidance. These components factor into your usability of your website, but also must speak to the needs and emotions of your users. Your users came to your website for a reason. Take a deep look and see if you're meeting their needs for why they came and answering the questions that they may have. These questions vary, obviously, for different businesses. An e-commerce store has different goals and cues than an online newspaper publisher. The key is to properly identify the story, i.e., what's going on your website today within your analytics, then fully understand how engagement is potentially affecting your profitability and your bottom line. So how is engagement measured? As mentioned before, this takes place within your web analytics system. If you don't have Web Analytics installed today on your website, you definitely should, and you should immediately visit Google Analytics to get an enterprise-level analytics solution at no cost. After you get analytics up and running, 3 things you want to measure and keep track of on a weekly or monthly basis is bounce rate, otherwise known as the percentage of visitors that immediately leave your website and do not progress forward, as well as pages per visit and time on site. Bounce rates can vary tremendously based upon the user segment, say new versus returning, marketing channel, let's say a Google organic search versus an incoming email from a campaign, as well as landing page, your home page versus your product page as an example. Understanding the bounce rate and the fluctuations across these pages will help you focus on different areas of your site that aren't engaging to the level they should. You also want to concentrate on the metric pages per visit. And this metric will provide data into how deep users go within your taxonomy and site structure. In working with clients, this metric is very unpredictable, and we frequently see e-commerce businesses with performance as low as 3 pages per visit. And we also see clients that have high as 35 pages per visit. So obviously there's a big variance, and it really depends on how easy your site is to navigate and how clearly have you laid out the ability for users to complete their tasks. Lastly, you want to look at the amount of time in terms of seconds that users spend both on your site and on your key pages. This data, in combination with the other 2 metrics mentioned before, will help you get an accurate idea of your current performance and the areas for which you can improve. Lastly, always make sure to think about seasonality with these metrics. Life events that correlate with seasonality can cause changes, and for this reason it makes sense to see this data in a monthly context. Keep a scorecard ongoing and be sure to update it monthly as your business progresses. So here's the first way to improve engagement. Track user paths to fix leaks in your website. In this effort, what you're trying to do is understand how users are behaving in the processes you set forth. You're going to use clickstream data in this analysis, and it makes sense to strip out branded traffic, both direct and from Google, to get a true understanding of how your site performs with folks who are new to your brand. Create custom funnels for all your non-branded segments, and monitor monthly. Be sure to account each month for progression rates across marketing channels and try to test alternative pages and presentations for the channels that are lagging. The next way to improve is so simple, but so few businesses use the tactic of testing headlines and key copy within their most important pages. Again, remember that the decision to stay or go by a web user is made in 2 seconds, and because of this, you need to speak to the motives of your user. What are the emotional factors in play? Is your user at your site to learn, to buy, to apply, or maybe just to be entertained? Are you messaging these things in your headline and supporting text? And if not, you need to test alternative messaging. Create creative campaigns that combine imagery and text, and sometimes promotions, to better persuade your users to stay and take action. One thing to think about is that this is not just on your homepage, but rather any mid-tier page within your website that receives a high percentage of traffic and that you consider valuable to your online goals. Lastly, we're going to discuss the concept of background color and font. This is another area that is, again, not focused on by the majority of web businesses out there, and in many cases can unlock great site performance gains. A key point that is forgotten by many web marketers is that the internet is still mostly reading, and that the presentation you provide should be as easily digestible as possible to the human eye and the human brain. Use short sentences and space paragraphs after 2 or 3 sentences. Make sure to be as clear and concise in your text as possible to help people who are scanning, not reading. Be sure to use a white background, as white background and black text is the color pattern that your eyes and mine have been used to since we started reading. If your site is using some colored backgrounds and funky fonts, be sure to test your CSS file to assess the impact on overall engagement by presenting a more traditional user experience in terms of color and font style. So there you have it. We just talked about the tip of the iceberg in defining and improving user engagement. But by thinking about these concepts and by executing some of the improvement tactics that we outlined, your business will be headed to better metrics and improved returns within your online entity or e-commerce store. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon on another screencast by Trinity Insight, and have a great day.